Inside a fading American mall, the strangest ruin was not broken glass, but a cookie counter that still carried one of retail's sweetest names. The ovens once promised warmth, comfort, and impulse, yet the empire behind Mrs. Fields had cooled through debt, control, and vanishing mall traffic. What made the decline unsettling was not customer hatred, because many Americans still remembered the cookies with a kind of unusual affection. The real question was how a personal dream built on freshness became too expensive, too controlled, and too dependent on dying shopping corridors. Before the brand became a nostalgic mall name, Debbie Fields was a young California woman fighting to be taken seriously. She had no restaurant dynasty, no corporate resume, and no inherited retail machine, only a cookie recipe and the need to prove herself. In 1977, she opened her first Mrs. Fields shop in Palo Alto, California, after banks and friends questioned whether cookies could become a business. The first hours nearly confirmed their doubts because shoppers passed the storefront while warm trays waited behind the counter with almost no buyers. Then Fields walked outside with free samples, and strangers who would not risk money suddenly understood the product before hearing the pitch. That moment revealed the machine behind the fortune.
Of course.
Because Mrs.
This one
Fields
has chocolate.
did not simply sell
Thank you.
cookies. It sold temptation at walking speed. The best location was not a quiet bakery street, but a mall corridor where smell, hunger, boredom, and impulse collided. A shopper did not need a plan, because butter, sugar, and chocolate could interrupt errands faster than any ordinary advertisement. Through the 1980s, that formula turned Debbie Fields into a rare American business icon, especially for women watching retail power change. Her name became the face of the company, appearing in stores, interviews, cookbooks, and the emotional mythology of homemade quality. Customers were not only buying a cookie, they were buying the idea that a real woman had protected every batch herself. That image was powerful, but it also created a dangerous expectation, because the brand depended on control that was difficult to scale. Fields believed the cookie had to be fresh, warm, soft, and consistent, not just acceptable for another busy mall snack counter. That perfection made the stores memorable, yet every new location added more rent, more employees, more training, and more chances for disappointment. A small company can guard quality with personal obsession, but a national chain needs systems that survive beyond one founder's eyes. The contradiction was simple and brutal, because Mrs. Fields wanted the intimacy of a bakery and the footprint of an empire. By the early 1990s,
The Midwest rent
the
files
company
look
had
promising.
expanded into hundreds
Let's
of locations.
check the map for the expansion.
Many inside malls with expensive
pin
leases
marks the key
and
location.
unpredictable traffic. From the outside, those stores made the brand look unstoppable, but inside the business, debt was becoming part of the recipe. Some locations underperformed, real estate choices disappointed, and the company had to carry weak stores beside stronger ones. That mattered because a premium cookie was a tiny luxury, easy to love when money felt safe and easy to skip when budgets tightened. When the economy slowed and mall visits weakened, Mrs. Fields lost the casual traffic that made every warm tray valuable. The business had not been built for destination customers alone, because its power came from people already walking past the ovens. At the same time, competition crowded the mall snack world, from cookie rivals to pretzel chains and other quick indulgences. The battlefield was no longer just about taste, but rent, traffic, convenience, novelty, and whose smell captured the corridor first. One strategic choice made the pressure heavier, because Debbie Fields resisted giving up control through franchising during the fastest expansion years. Instead, the company leaned on ownership, loans, and reinvestment to open stores it could supervise more closely, but finance more painfully. That protected the standards she cared about, yet it placed more risk on the company when leases, sales, and debt moved against it. The empire became trapped between two promises: the founder's perfection and the national growth story investors expected to keep expanding. In 1993, the pressure broke into public view when Debbie Fields gave up most ownership as part of a debt restructuring. The counters still carried her name, but behind the sign, the woman who built the brand no longer controlled the company. That is the kind of forgotten American business story we follow here, where money, power, and ruin hide inside ordinary brands. Subscribe to Fortunes and Ruins for more cinematic stories about the fortunes America built, the warnings it ignored, and the wreckage left behind. After Fields stepped away from leadership, the company tried to defend its position by becoming a broader mall snack empire. It acquired mall-dependent brands tied to cookies, pretzels, and frozen yogurt, hoping scale would protect a shrinking retail battlefield. On paper, the logic made sense because impulse food brands shared customers, locations, landlords, employees, and a dependence on foot traffic. But the strategy also deepened the same vulnerability because the future of the American mall was already beginning to crack. A cookie counter can survive many things, but it cannot easily survive the slow disappearance of the corridor that feeds it. The smell that once pulled shoppers from several storefronts away became less powerful when fewer shoppers were passing at all. By the 2000s, Mrs. Fields was no longer fighting one competitor. It was fighting a cultural shift in how America shopped. In 2008, Mrs. Fields' famous brands filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection after debt pressure and weaker discretionary spending became too heavy. The company survived the process, but survival changed the emotional meaning of the brand from founder-led phenomenon to managed asset. Ownership shifted, restructuring continued, and the once intimate cookie name became part of franchising, licensing, and co-branded counters. TCBY became a frequent partner, with frozen yogurt and cookies sharing locations in an effort to stretch recognition and reduce risk. Mrs. Fields no longer looked like a woman standing outside a Palo Alto shop with a tray of warm samples. It looked like a famous name preserved through smaller footprints, kiosks, airport counters, online gifting, and franchise agreements. Today, Mrs. Fields continues through global franchise locations, branded products, licensing, and gift sales, which means the name never truly vanished. But the empire that once made Debbie Fields a symbol of American retail ambition has been reduced into something quieter. The tragedy is not that the cookies failed, but that the business around the cookies became too heavy for the promise. Quality made Mrs. Fields beloved, control made it distinctive, expansion made it famous, and debt made the dream vulnerable. In the end, the ruin is not a collapsed factory, but a mall corridor where the smell no longer stops everyone. Keep following Fortunes and Ruins for more forgotten American stories where ambition becomes scale, scale becomes pressure, and pressure leaves a name behind. Somewhere, an old Mrs. Fields sign still glows above a quiet counter, remembering when one warm sample could build an empire.